Hey, what's going on, guys? I could not be more excited than I am for this ice season. I just got done going through all my ice gear and getting it all prepped for the season. It took me about a day and a half to go through everything and really get it all dialed, get rods spooled up and all that stuff. And I just love this part of the season. I'm a gear nut, and I know a lot of you guys are too. So what I want to do in this video is kind of go through all of the things I plan on using this ice season and why I'm going to be using them. So I'm going to cover everything from my shelters, my ice suit, auger, electronics, heaters, basically all the accessories, rods and reels. We're going to cover all that stuff. We'll even get into some of the lures and some stuff that I'm going to be tying on my rods as well this winter. You're going to see some stuff from brands that I've used in the past, as well as some new stuff for 2025, 2026. And I'm going to be introducing a couple new items and new brands that I'm super excited about for this upcoming 2025-26 season. So with that, let's get started. Let's start with shelters. They're kind of the biggest investment, and we'll start there. We'll start with the big stuff and kind of work our way down. And then make sure you stick around to the end as well, because I also have a big announcement about the Hooked Up Wisconsin website and some upcoming merch, including some ice fishing merch. So make sure you stick around for that. Let's get started with ice shelters. My main shack that's gonna be kind of my run and gun slash two-person shack is gonna be my Nanook. It's 88 pounds, super light. For a two-man, and I've also got the tow bar so I can hook it up to my machine. I can tow it by hand as well. I just unclip the clips and I can put a rope on there. It's just a super versatile shelter, and if I had to have one to do it all, this would be it, because I could ice camp in it if I had to. I can fish with two people. I can pull it with a machine. I can pull it by hand, and it fits in the back of my truck, no problem. So that's kind of my all-purpose unit. Now, when I want to sit down on a spot and do some camera fishing or, ice camp, I've got the X400 that I've been using for several years. This is the Ice Team model. That's been an absolutely awesome shelter for any kind of stationary fishing where you're going to be planted on a spot for quite a while. It's not quite as mobile as a flip over, but it's got more room. It's a little more comfortable and easier to fish more people in and ice camp in, etc. Now over here is my little run and gun Kenai. So this thing has a deep tub. It's super light, like 50 pounds, and I can throw that around real easily. I can tow it on the ice on foot really easily. Small footprint, but holds a lot of gear, and I end up using that one quite a bit of the winter, especially when I'm fishing alone. Now, I've had all these three the last couple of years. The big one that I just got this year is the Clam X1200, and this is going to be an absolute behemoth shack that I'm going to be using for ice camping this year. It basically has two X600s hooked together in one giant hub, so I can camp on one side of it, fish on the other side, and have plenty of room to spare for gear and all that stuff. So I'm super excited to use that. We probably won't pull that out of storage until probably later in the season when we can throw it in the truck and drive out, because it is a big tent and it takes quite a bit of room. So that's kind of what my shelter setup is for this year. I got 4 of them. I know it's a lot, but like I said, if you had to pick just one, it'd probably be the Nanook. If you had to pick one hub, it'd probably be the X400. But it's nice to have options, and I'm really excited to try the new X1200 and try some ice camping this year. So that's my shelter setup for the year. I do want to mention everything in this video I am going to link in the description below. I'm going to categorize it out so you can kind of look down the list and see where everything's at on there. There's going to be a lot of links, so make sure if you don't see it, you keep scrolling and find the category that you want, and you should be able to find basically anything I'm talking about in this video. And if you purchase any of this stuff through those links, it really helps the channel, helps me keep doing what I'm doing, so I appreciate that. All right, guys, let's talk clothing for this ice season. Again, I am using my Delta bibs and parka from Clam Outdoors. This is the lightest, most flexible floating ice suit that you can find, in my opinion. I've tried on a whole bunch of them. I like to move around a lot on the ice. I'm a very mobile angler, and a big, heavy ice suit is like not what I need at all. So I really like the Delta float suit. It's been amazing. I've used it, I think, 2 years now, maybe 3. Ever since it came out, this is the only suit I've been using. I just don't need another ice suit. This is the only one I need. And if I need to get something that's warmer, all I'm gonna do is layer. I really believe in layering. You know, I'm a big whitetail hunter, waterfowl hunter. We always layer when it's cold, and that's really what I do when I ice fish as well. And one of the pieces I'm going to be using is this vest this year. So this is the Rapala R12 vest. It's a heated vest. So this gives me even more options when it comes to layering, because I can turn the heat up or down on this thing. And I already have the R12 system. It's just a little battery pack. It slides into this back pocket right here. And the R12 system also powers the aerator I'm using this year, as well as my electric fillet knife. So I'm kind of already set up with the batteries for this vest, and it's super, super comfortable, and it fits right underneath my jacket. Or if I take my jacket off, it acts as a windbreak, even without the battery or the heat. So it just gives me a lot of versatility when it comes to layering. It's a really cool piece. Super glad Rapala came out with that, because I already had the battery system. Now when it comes to feet, I am using my Norfin Klondikes again. And you know, I've tried a lot of other boots. I used to promote Norfin, I used to work with them, and I never quit wearing these boots, even when I switched to clam, because these boots are absolutely phenomenal when it comes to lightweight and warmth. I don't get cold feet, and I don't feel like my feet weigh 1,000 pounds at the end of the day. They're EVA foam, so they're just super light. I mean, they weigh almost nothing, and they have little cleats on the bottom. But fair warning, the cleats typically don't last more than a season. You can get replacements now for them, but I don't really use them anyways, because I have my own cleats that I prefer. So the cleats aren't really a deal breaker for me. Removable liners, so you can dry them out really quick. And these obviously have seen some use. I actually cut this with my auger, but I just used some shoe goo to patch it up. If you guys need a really good shoe patch, if you've never used shoe goo, that stuff is incredible. I'll leave a link for that below too. I'm not sponsored, I don't promote them or anything, but I've used shoe goo my whole life to repair waders and boots and stuff. This stuff absolutely is incredible. I mean, I patched this up at the beginning of the season last year, never had a leak, it doesn't peel, it's just super cool. So I might get a new pair this year, but maybe not. These things are still holding up. So now another thing that's super critical to keeping your feet warm in the winter is good socks. Wicking socks, merino wool is the best. And Clam just came out with some merino wool socks that I absolutely love. I've been using them all fall, and they'll rival the comfort and the wicking ability of any merino wool socks I've ever worn. And they seem to be very durable as well. And they've got a couple weights. They've got a lighter weight and a heavier weight, so you can pick which one you want depending on the conditions. Just thought I'd throw these in there, because that's probably all I'm gonna wear this ice season for socks under these Norfin boots, is these merino wool ones. So that's pretty much it. You know, headgear and hand gear I'm not going to get into. There's so many things I could get into in this video, but I got to keep it streamlined. So let's move on to the next thing, and let's get into the auger that I'm going to be using for this year. So my auger this year is going to be the new Strike Master Maven, which I'm super excited about. This auger is an absolute beast. It was time for me to move on to a high performance auger. You know, I've been using the K-drill on the clam drill plate. You guys have seen me use that a lot. It's still a very, very solid auger, and it's super, super tough, but it does not cut as fast as some of these new high performance augers. And the new Maven is brand new for 2025, 2026. I know a couple guys who got to use one last year, and it is an absolute lightweight, hole cutting machine. Lasts a long time on one battery, and what I really like is a couple other features on it. It's got an actual hole level on the top, so you can line this up, and it's just a bubble level, and that helps keep your holes nice and straight. And then it's also got a light, so for drilling at night, it lights everything up right below you. You don't need to try and get your headlamp over the top of it. And just super, super simple battery system. I am super excited to run this auger. Now I am going to keep my K-drill set up for a backup auger, because you never know when something might go wrong. You do not want to be stuck without an auger, so I will be happy to have a backup this season as well. And also, if I run into some super gnarly ice conditions like dirty ice and stuff like that, the K-drill is not going to dull. It's a chipper auger, so it's much tougher when it comes to that really nasty ice, but this baby's going to cut a lot faster, and it's going to be much more compact and lightweight as well. So and then obviously I'm going to have a chisel. I don't have anything fancy for a chisel. I just have an old rebar style chisel. It's pretty simple, but if you guys have a better suggestion for a chisel, I definitely would be interested. So leave a comment below if you found a chisel that works really well for you. But that's my whole cutting situation for this season. All right, moving on to electronics. Obviously, technology has come a long way, and we have a lot of electronics to choose from. And I have 4 core pieces that I'm going to be using this year. You know, I really love technology. I love fishing with technology, and I'm still using flashers, obviously. I don't think flashers will ever go away for ice fishing. They're just so useful and so detailed that you can't beat them when it comes to fishing right over fish. But there has been a lot of new features that have been packed into these units. So I'm going to kind of go over the 2 units I'm going to be using this year. Obviously, this one is the Cadillac. This is the FLX 38BB. This is the one I used most of the season last year. I can change the cone angles on this. I can change from 3 different power modes and 3 settings within each power mode. I can change this to basically any frequency I want. So like there's so many adjustments on this, I can basically make it do whatever I want. I can zoom in the middle of the water column, the bottom of the water column. Like I can customize this machine to do anything a flasher can do. Now, that said, there is a lot going on here, and if you haven't fished with a flasher a whole lot, you probably want to do something more like the new FLX 18. So this unit actually just came out this year, and it is meant to be a step up from the old FL 18, which had the old style screen. This is the new, brighter, digitalized screen on this one. And it's also got a few more features packed into it, but it's a very simple interface. You can understand this thing very easily, just 3 dials, very simple menus. And this is what I would recommend starting on if you were going to use Vexilar for the first time. And this is what I'm keeping for backup as well as for anyone who happens to be fishing with me and needs a flasher. This is way easier to learn on. It's pretty much plug and play. Like you can turn this thing on out of the box and it's going to do what it needs to do. Now, that said, it does have a few more features on it. It's got a zoom mode. It's got a 300-foot depth range, 1/4-inch target separation versus the 1/8 inch here, so it's not quite as sensitive, but it still does a great job. It also has low and high power mode, so you can turn that low power mode on when you're fishing in the weeds. So it's still a great unit and a better price point if you're just looking to get into flashers and kind of learn them. And it's certainly a great backup unit if you have one of these FLX 38s. So moving on to cameras. So the Predator camera from Vexilar is the one I've been using to take all my underwater ice footage. So if you guys have seen that the last couple years, that has been this camera. Super easy, just plug and play. A DVR is built into it. You just pop a chip in there, hit record, and start recording. That is a super useful piece of equipment when you're scouting in weeds, because none of this stuff can see fish in weeds very well, but that thing, you drop it down there, they can't hide from the camera, and it's just super fun to fish with the camera in clear water as well. So I'm actually ordering another one of these for this year so I can monitor a set line as well as have one in my shack with me when I'm jigging. So now when it comes to Livescope, I'm going to be using the same clam system I used last year, the clam shuttle, the clam pole. They worked really well for me. The only thing is I'm going to modify this so I can actually kind of get it to stay in place, because it is a ball bearing system, so it swivels really easily, and sometimes it would swivel out of place. So I'm going to find a mod for that. Maybe I'll do a video on it, but very, very reasonable system to get into too. Very, very reasonable. One of the cheapest out there that really works well. So as far as Livescope this year, I'm going to be using the LVS 34 Plus transducer this year, so that'll be a bit of an upgrade. Obviously, all this stuff I'll leave links below for. And if you have any questions about electronics, feel free to leave a comment below or message me on my Instagram at HookedUpWisconsin. I'd be happy to walk you through some things. And also, I do fishing coaching, so go to the Hooked Up Wisconsin website. I'll leave a link for that below, and I can actually get on a call with you and walk you through some of this stuff as well, and help you pick out gear if you need it. So be happy to do that as well. All right, let's move on to the next item. All right guys, before I get started on these heaters, I want to mention that a lot of these brands do sponsor Hooked Up Wisconsin. I am not 100% unbiased on some of these reviews. However, I will say, I only use stuff from these brands that I know works. If stuff doesn't work, I don't use it. Every single agreement that I sign with any brand, I have a clause in there that says I do not have to use things that I don't agree with or don't like to use. So if I'm using something, no matter what brand it's from, you guys can be certain that I only use it because it works, and I know it works at least as well as everybody else's. So these heaters, I do believe, are the best ice fishing heaters out there. There's a couple reasons. Number one, infinitely variable heat. You don't have just two settings like blazing hot and freezing cold. You can dial these heaters in to any setting from low to high. The second thing is electronic ignition in these two heaters. So you put a battery in there, all you have to do, hold that baby down, and it will eventually light. No more click with that piezo igniter. You don't have to worry about that thing failing on you in the cold. So that is another feature that is absolutely awesome. Now this little guy is just a super simple little sunflower style heater that I'll use in my little one man. It's very compact and it works great. I've used this quite a bit actually. And this one is, I think this is a 12,000 BTU, and it's adjustable like I said, so you can dial it way down to less than that. This is what I use typically in my Nanook, or if I'm ice camping or using my X400. Now if it's really, really cold, or in my new X1200 where I'm going to be camping in a large tent in cold weather, this 16,000 plus BTU unit is going to be the one I use. And I've used all three of these. They work great. I'm telling you, you will not be sorry if you pick up one of these heaters. So they're designed for ice fishing, and that is why they are the best in my opinion. So there you go guys, that's what I'm using for heat this year on the ice. All right guys, let's talk set lines. Now we're getting into some of the fun gear when it comes to actually catching fish. So as you guys probably already know, I am co-inventor of the Clam Predator tip-up. So my buddy and I, Weldon Hershey, invented this. We've been working with Clam on it for years, and this is my most favorite tool when it comes to ice fishing set lines. I don't even use standard tip-ups anymore as long as it's warm out. Now if it gets really, really cold, sometimes keeping your whole ice free can be a pain, and that's when it's nice to have that spool down below the ice. I'll tell you what guys, I am still using Beaver Dam tip-ups. They just work. They've worked for years. I've had them for years, and I've never found a tip-up that could equal the performance of a Beaver Dam tip-up. I'm not sponsored by them, but they absolutely work the best that I've ever found. And like I said, if it works the best, that's what I'm using. I just need good gear when it comes to ice fishing, and this tip-up is proven itself time and time again. So in cold weather, when I want that hole to be able to freeze over and not worry about getting a flag, I'm still using the Beaver Dams. Now, back to the Predator. The Predator can be set up in either flag mode or automatic hook setting mode. And there's big news in Minnesota, automatic hook setting mode is now legal. So that's a huge, huge announcement from the DNR. It's gonna be legal the whole season. So you guys fishing those stock trout lakes, you guys fishing finicky walleyes, trying to catch panfish on set lines, this tool in automatic hook setting mode is a game changer, I'm telling you right now. And you're gonna have a blast using this. Now also flag mode does come in handy, so you can set this up to just trip the flag, and that works really, really well for larger baits and catching bigger fish like pike on dead baits and stuff like that. You can use any rod in that mode as well. You don't have to have a specific rod that's designed for automatic hook setting. So that is my two set line techniques I'm going to be using this year. We'll go over a few accessories that'll kind of go along with these. Oh, and I did want to mention too, a guy sent me this flag. This guy owns Orange Top Fishing, it's called, and this is like a super reflective high vis flag. I think I'm going to actually like these flags. They're super durable feeling, and I think they might replace my standard flags. I might even try some on the Predators this year, but I just thought I'd give him a shout out because this is a pretty cool idea, and I think you can get them customized with like designs and stuff too. So I'll leave a link down below for his website, and give him a shout out. So go check that out. But that's pretty much it for set lines. Now let's get into actual rods and reels I'm going to be using this year. All right, for the Predator tip-ups, I'm going to be using the Predator rods, the Clam Predator rods. These are designed for the Clam Predator tip-up, and they work really, really well. They're fiberglass. They have a nice parabolic bend to them, so when you bend them into that U shape, they snap up really well in auto mode. They hold fish really, really well. You do not want a fast tip or graphite rod when it comes to using autos. You want a nice slow action like that for holding fish and having some snap to it. The 36s I use typically for like smaller crappie, bluegill, walleye type setups. The 42s I'm using for like my pike and my big trout and a little bit bigger baits. So that's kind of what I'm using for when it comes to auto hook setting for sure. Now the 42 works really well for actually setting the hook on fish too. The 36 is a little bit light for that. Now I do have a couple other heavier rods that I'll show you in a minute that I'm going to use for big pike and stuff on the Predator tip-ups, but these are really all you need for most applications when it comes to the Predator. Now as far as reels on the Predator rods, I've got all PC Fun Carbon X2 1000s on there, and they are spooled with Sufix 8-pound ice, Magic Ice monofilament. That's pretty much my go-to when it comes to spooling up any of these automatic hook setting rods. I really like 8-pound mono, and that Sufix is made for the cold, and that's what I'm using. And then these PC Fun 1000s have plenty of drag. They never lock up. They're super reliable. And now this year they all have a folding handle. So one button folding handle. I can stack a lot more of these in one box with that folding handle than I used to be able to. So that's a super nice feature. And then on one of these, I do have a actual Okuma Samar, which is a bait feeder, and that just gives me the added ability on one rod at least to be able to let the fish run with the bait and have that bait feeder capability. But everything else, I'm going to be using these PC Fun 1000s. All right, guys, now let's get into a few jigging rods that I'm going to be using this season. This one is kind of my standard panfish setup. This is the St. Croix Tundra 34 light extra fast, and this thing is just an absolute panfish catching machine. It's got that light tip. I don't need a spring bobber, but it goes into a nice heavy backbone. And this year I'm going to be trying the PC Fun ICX Frost 2s, or the upgraded models. So these actually have a clicker, so I can pull them out. That's how I like to drop. I like to pull out the line, and then they also have a clicker on the drag, so that when a fish is pulling line, I can hear that. I can hear that drag. The old ones were a smooth drag, and I didn't really like that. That's why I hadn't been using these, but this is a much better system. And they also have an upgraded spool, so the line can't actually come off anymore. They used to, once in a while, they would despool. That's all been fixed. So these PC Fun ICX Frost upgraded designs are really nice reels, super smooth, good drags on them, and I'm really excited to be using those on my panfish rods. Now, I actually spooled up my secondary panfish rod, which is a little bit heavier. This is the Scandic Ice 28-inch medium light. This is kind of what I use for like my jigging spoons and stuff like that. So I've got both of these with the ICX Frost 2s on them, and I've got them spooled up with two different kinds of Sufix, and I'm going to be testing braid this year a little bit more. So I've got Sufix 832 ice line, and then just Sufix Ice Performance braid on the other one, and I'm going to let you know some point in the season which one's working best for me. I've got 4-pound on both of these, and 4-pound is 1-pound mono diameter, so it's still super light, and I had good luck with braid last year, so I'll let you know how that goes. But that's kind of my two panfish setups. Now when it comes to walleyes, I've got 3 main jigging rods I use for walleyes. I like a 36-inch rod for most applications. This is kind of my favorite from last year. This is the 36 medium heavy Scandic, and again I've got a 1000 size Carbon X2 on there with the folding handle, and super easy and compact, and that's just a great reel for this rod. It balances nice, that 1000 size, and this is just a great all-around jigging rod for jigging spoons, glide baits, basically anything that you would typically use for walleyes. And I'm trying braid on this one as well. So I've got some Suffix Performance braid on there, ice braid. And supposedly this stuff works really, really well and doesn't freeze up on you. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty positive about it. But then I've got a Mojo Ice 36-inch, and this one is a little bit cheaper price point rod, and I just like to have another backup 36 that I can switch baits out on real easily. And I actually spooled that with 6-pound fluoro, so it's a little bit different line. So sometimes I want a little more stretch or just want to tie direct and don't have a leader, then I can use this rod, and that's a great setup as well, again with that PC Fun Carbon X2 1000 on there. My last one is a little bit shorter, stouter rod. So this is, I believe, this is medium heavy. It's a medium, 30-inch medium Tundra. And this is what I use for a little bit heavier baits. So if I'm jigging some heavier spoons for burbot, or if I'm using a heavier glide bait, I'm gonna use this. And this I have spooled up with 8-pound Suffix mono. One of the reasons is I like a little bit heavier rod for working heavier baits, but you tend to lose more fish because it doesn't have that bend to it. So I like the stretch that comes with mono, and I'm going a little bit heavier just for bigger fish with that 8-pound on that setup. So that's kind of my main jigging rod setups for this year. Then I also have the St. Croix Custom Ice Deadeye. This is my dead stick rod. You can see where that bend is. There's a ton of movement that can happen without that fish feeling the bite. And then you have a big backbone to set that hook on that fish. This has been a great dead stick rod. And again, I've got an Okuma Samar bait feeder on there, so I can set that next to me, let the fish run with it, then just click that bait feeder and give them the boots and set the hook. So that's kind of my main core arsenal. Now I'll show you a couple of the heavier rods I have set up for pike and stuff and lake trout too quick. This is the St. Croix Custom Ice Apex Predator rod. So this is kind of my beast mode spinning rod. This is what I set up when I'm fishing big dead bait for pike on the Predator, or next to me in the shack with a big live bait and like a quick strike rig, or jigging lake trout deep. Super stiff backbone, just a beast of a rod. And again, I have a bait feeder set up on that so the fish can run with it. And one thing I've been doing a lot the last couple of years is actually using bait casters on my Predators. So if it's warm enough out and you can get away with using a bait caster like in above freezing temps, you can really let a fish run on flag mode with a bait caster very, very well with just dialing in the magnetic drag. So I've been using these a ton. This is just a St. Croix Premier. Not sure if they make these anymore, but I will link a St. Croix bait caster. I think I'm going to be getting another one as well. And this is just the PC Fun Al-IM low profile bait caster. Super fun to fish with a bait caster for lake trout as well. And those are kind of my two options when it comes to heavier stuff. So that's what I've got right now. I'm probably going to pick up a couple more rods this year and try some new stuff, but that's kind of the gamut when it comes to my rod setups for ice fishing this season. All right guys, when it comes to tackle, there's just so much to go over. I really don't have time to cover everything, so I'm just going to go over a couple of standouts from last year and a couple of new things for this year that I'm really excited about. A couple new things. First of all, the Euro Tackle Spade Blade Jointed just came out. This thing's got some serious wiggle. And for certain situations and specific fish that just like a lot of flash and wiggle, this is going to be an absolute killer. Bass love these things. I found that out. They like a lot of flash, a lot of things going on, and they're going to be a killer walleye bait as well, especially in dark water. They also make a lot of noise with all that rattling around and all those spinners and that jointed piece on there. They clack together. Super loud. Lots of good colors in the jointed spade blade. One more thing from Euro Tackle this year, and that is the Gamma Fly. It's a tungsten scud fly. I think this is going to be great for big crappies. And I think it's actually going to work well for game fish that are eating bugs, especially walleyes. So I'm excited to use that, and maybe even for trout up on Lake Superior. It's got a pretty heavy, the fish is pretty heavy. It's made out of tungsten, but it looks just like a scud in the water. And sometimes those buggy imitations do better than minnow imitations. So those are a couple new things from Euro Tackle. The Fish Daddy Dirty Bomb proved absolutely deadly on Lake of the Woods and Red Lake and Mille Lacs last year. This is a well-known bait. There's a reason when you go up to like Lake of the Woods, all the tackle shops will have these Fish Daddy Dirty Bombs. And there's a couple new colors this year, which I'm super excited about. So they've got some Wonder Bread and pink. If you guys haven't seen these before, they basically flash in the water. So when you put them in, there's a dead man switch that clicks on and they start blinking different colors depending on which one you buy. And that triggers walleyes really, really well in dirty water. It's a killer bait. In fact, when we were up at Lake of the Woods 2 seasons ago, that's basically all we could catch fish on. So definitely check those out. One standout from Clam last year was the confetti drop. I used this a ton. It's got little dots on it and it just seemed to really trigger those panfish. So another great little jig. Another thing that worked great last year was these Billy Rub nuggets. So this is what I was using to tip basically all my Lake Superior spoons with. You just pinch off one of these little things and it looks like a fish egg. It's got that Billy Rub scent. You know, there's a bunch of different scents. And it just adds just enough to the hook on a spoon or a jigging wrap to not deaden the action, but to also give it that kind of scent and movement that is so necessary to trigger fish. So that's a great tipping bait. And then of course we have the Billy Rub scent, which you guys have seen me use. I use it all year, winter and summer. I researched this year. I found out that fish can actually smell way better in cold water than warm water. So scent actually becomes more important during the ice season than it does even in open water. So pick your scent. There's a couple new ones this year. I believe there's maggot or spike coming out and some gizzard shad. So definitely Billy Rub is one of my staples when it comes to ice fishing. And then Billy Rub Baits also has some cool stuff that came out this year. This is the Foxiness minnow in the, I think it's the 1.75. I think this is gonna be deadly not only for crappies, but also walleyes. I'm gonna be fishing a lot more plastics this year, ice fishing. I've got some things planned and things coming up for that. You'll have to wait and see, but I think this might be one of the baits that I end up using for walleyes. Now another super cool product that I used quite a bit last year is beaver tail. So Gullickson Bait Company makes this beaver tail, and what it is it's preserved and dyed strips of beaver tail. Now I used to trap and I know beaver tail is super fatty and it has a lot of oils in it, a lot of natural scents, and it is durable as crap. Like you put this on a jig and it is not coming off. And it just moves in ways that plastic absolutely cannot. And it's just a very great tool for catching panfish and even walleyes. They make a leech now, so it's a strip of beaver tail about this long, and you can trim it down to any length you want. Tip that on your bait. It adds scent, it adds movement, it adds oil to the water, and just a super fluttery profile that plastic just can't imitate. Comes in a bunch of different colors. One quick pro tip, if you do open a bag of beaver tail, have a backup plastic bag for it, because the Ziploc seals on these bags don't always seal up, so I always throw them in a double bag. But I'm always going to keep some of this stuff with me. If I run out of live bait, this is a great backup to have with you, because it stays preserved like for years. And you can just throw it in your pack, and if you run out of spikes or maggots, it's a great backup option as well. So that's basically it for tackle, guys. And there's so much more to talk about, which I will be doing throughout the season, but that's about all I can fit in today. So let's move on to the last thing, which is accessories and safety gear. Now, before I move into explaining these accessories, if you're getting value out of this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please consider going and hitting that subscribe button. I know a lot of you guys who watch the channel haven't subscribed yet, and that is just a huge way to support the channel, and I would really appreciate it. So moving on, accessories are endless. There's so many ice fishing accessories now, and I have a lot, and I can't go through all of them in this video, obviously, but I am going to point out a few standouts that I'm going to be using this year. And I think I'll start with Vulture Systems. So I have a shipment coming from Vulture, actually, that's not here yet, but these are the old Vulture systems that you've seen me use in a lot of my videos. They still work absolutely amazing. Radio signal up to 2 miles, flashing LEDs, like they are a game changer when it comes to set lines. But there have been some improvements on these. They can now be seen from both sides on the LED, not just one. And they have an on-off button on the outside of the unit. So the Gen 2s are going to be very useful and an awesome upgrade from the Gen 1s like I have here. I also have some Gen 2 Vulture Revos coming. And I've been working with Greg, the owner of Vulture, on a system to use these Revos with the Predator tip-ups. And that is going to be huge because look at the size difference. I can put like 6 of these in my pocket, clip them on as I go on my Predators, and they're going to send the signal just like the originals did to the handheld or to your phone. So these are going to be a game changer once we get that system set up. I'll probably be doing a video on that at some point during the season here or before the season on how to set up these Revos with the Predator tip-up, but that's something I'm super excited about. Now moving on, minnow storage. You guys know I use a lot of live bait. I'm not sponsored by Angle, but Angle is the cooler that I've been using for years. They're just super tough. It's the best option I've found. If you guys have something else that works better, drop a comment below, but they just have worked well for me. They're tough as nails. But I have replaced the Angle aerator with this Rapala R12 aerator. You heard me mention before about the vest and the electric fillet knife. It's the same battery system for this aerator. It clips on and off this adapter, which I just screwed to the side here. I had a lot of questions about that actually, but yes, I just screw it to the angle with some short screws, pre-drill the holes, and I can pop this on and off. And this aerator is an absolutely amazing aerator. It has high and low setting and then intermittent. So if I put it on low intermittent, which is all you need in the winter when the water's cold, it'll last like a day and a half. So and then you can always just pop a new battery in and you're good to go. So that's been an awesome aerator for me, and minnow storage. So that's kind of what I use for my minnows. Now when it comes to storing fish on the ice, you guys know I hate frozen fish, and this has been an absolute game changer for me. This is the Clam Fish Live Well bag. It's got a side zipper. When you're done fishing, you just dump all your fish out the side zipper. And as you're fishing, you just stuff this down a hole and drop your fish into the basket. And that keeps them from freezing all day long. When you're ready to go, you can dump the fish into a garbage bag or a bucket or whatever, roll this back up, and it doesn't take up hardly any room, and it's very light as well. So that's something I use all the time, almost every trip out where I'm harvesting fish. Now when it comes to safety, Clam just came out with these deluxe ice picks. They float, so if you ever drop them in the water, they're gonna float, whereas the other kind, if they happen to fall off your neck when you fall in or something, they're gonna sink. Well, these won't. And they're actually a magnet. So they slide together and they won't come apart unless you grab them and pull them apart. Some of the other ones don't have that magnet and they tend to slip apart all the time, and it's not really a good situation. So these are obviously meant to be worn around your neck as a safety device in case you fall through. You can grab them, stick them in the ice, and pull yourself out. So hopefully you never need them, but if you do, they're there. Now another thing I wanted to mention is the clam lock system from Clam. So this happens to be the rattle reel, which I would love to bring up to like Lake of the Woods, or I can clip this onto my hub in my X400 or X1200 when I'm sleeping, doing some ice camping, and it swings around. It's super versatile. You can put these on either hubs, or you can mount them almost anywhere in any shack, or I use them all the time. Like for instance, this rod holder here, this 4-rod holder, this is Clam lock. See how it just pops off there? And now I can just pop it back on. I have those hubs on my X400, so I can take that with me, have a nice rod holder on the side of my hub shelter. I also have one in the back of my sled on my Nanook, so I can pop that in there. Super versatile system. This battery box, Clam lock, you can pop it onto wherever you want to hook this onto. And speaking of power and batteries, this little battery box is actually awesome for charging stuff on the ice. I've just got an Amped Outdoors 12 amp hour lithium in there, and I can charge my phone for days on this. I can charge cameras on this. I can clip my light system to it for either my hub or my flip over shack. And it's just got a simple charging port, and you just recharge it when you're done. So really like that from Clam. And that whole hub lock, Clam lock system is absolutely amazing. So tons of accessories that I use in that system. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention. I've been using this thing all fall. So this is a Danforth headlamp. Headlamps have always been a source of struggle for me. And I finally found one that just seems to work really well. It's got 4 settings on it. rechargeable. It's actually super light. A lot of these rechargeable headlamps are super heavy, and I've beat the crap out of this thing. Like, I've drug it around in duck blinds and everything else, and it's just still working. So again, not sponsored, but I thought I'd mention that because I've been looking for good headlamps for a long time, and I finally found one. So there you go, guys. That's the whole shebang. That's most of the stuff I'm going to be using on the ice. I'll be getting into more detail and some tackle and stuff down the road here, obviously, and showing you how to use all this stuff once we get on the ice. But I just thought I'd run through everything like that and show you kind of what I'm planning on using before ice season really hits, so you can stock up ahead of time. Now, as I mentioned, there is some news about Hooked Up Wisconsin merch and gear. So I actually have a pre-order set up on the website right now. So it is live. I have 3 original ice fishing design sweatshirts that I designed myself on there, and you'll have to go check those out. I'll leave the artwork right here so you can kind of see what they look like. And then I've also got a whole bunch of Hooked Up Wisconsin logo gear. And I'm doing a pre-order on this stuff because this is the first time I'm going live with it. I need to know how much to actually order and get printed. It's still going to be pretty fast shipping. It's not going to be instant, but once I get a week's worth of orders in, I'll know what I need and I can get them sent out, and they'll be here in plenty of time for, you know, Christmas or whatever. So make sure you go check those out. I'm super proud of them. I think you guys are going to find them really comfortable and finally have something to wear that says Hooked Up Wisconsin on it. And I tried to add some more value by adding some ice fishing specific artwork as well. So hopefully you guys like them. And I'll leave the links below for the website. It's just www.hookedupwi.com. You can find that there. And also relevant sunglasses. I'm going to be selling some bronze lenses, which are the lenses I use for ice fishing. They cut down on glare. They're super, super awesome sunglasses. Those will be on the website for sale as well. And as well as coaching services. So I've been doing some phone coaching and it's been going amazing. Like, most of my clients have called, you know, done multiple calls, like 3 or 4 calls, and they have found it super valuable. And basically, I'm just willing to walk through anything with you. We can talk about anything fishing, planning trips for ice season to Lake of the Woods, Red Lake, you know, whatever, talking through technology. That's all on the website as well. So make sure you go check out www.hookedupwisconsin.com. Thanks again for watching, guys. I really appreciate every single one of you. We'll see you next time. Hopefully, we'll actually be on the ice in the next video. Get hooked up.